Señoras y señores, bienvenidos a mi canal. Es un enorme placer tenerlos aquí presentes. Hoy quiero presentarles a uno de los músicos más legendarios de la historia del rock. Él es uno de los bateristas más reconocidos en la historia. Él ha tocado con bandas como The Firm, con Jimmy Page, ha tocado con David Gilmour, ha tocado, bueno, con Tom Jones, y es el más conocido por tocar con su banda, o sea, con esta banda tan legendaria de la historia del rock que es ACDC. So I would like to introduce to you one of the greatest drummers in the history of rock and roll music, the one and only Chris Slade. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks very much. At last.
At last. Okay, it's
We've been
awesome.
trying a long time to do this.
Yes, yes. So we're finally here. So the first question that I have, Chris, is how you decide to become a drummer.
I usually say I didn't choose the drums chose me.
Okay.
And I'm a great believer in that. And I probably couldn't do anything else anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So very little options.
Yeah.
But I decided, I was asked when I was about 10 or 11 years old by some counselors, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like job counselors. And they said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to be a drummer.
Awesome.
And they must have laughed for 5 minutes. Laughed
Really?
right out loud, laughed right in my face.
Wow.
And then one of them sort of sputtered out, you know, you can't be a drummer. There's no such thing. And don't forget, this was like late 50s.
Yeah.
So it was, you know, I was a little off-putting,
Mm-hmm.
but like anybody who's done this, like yourself possibly, you know, you just keep going, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you have to keep doing the things that you love, because that's the purpose of life, doing the things that you love, and you have to fight for it. Yeah. So
And what's the story? You know, you'll never work a day in your life if you have a job that you love.
exactly. So which year was this decision that you took? When this happened? The,
To be a drummer?
yeah.
Well, my brother was in a marching band, street marching band, my older brother. And he taught me a few things. I had to clean his drum. He used to bring it home to clean. It was all brass, you know, a real marching thing.
Yeah.
And for cleaning it, he gave me some licks. So that was where I really started. About that time, 10 or 11, the year was 56, 57, something like that.
And let's talk about your influences. Which are your main influences on the drums?
I would say Buddy Rich.
Yeah, it's amazing.
As many people of my age say, that started. And then also Tony Williams.
Wow, yeah, Tony Williams. Amazing.
Miles Davis drummer when he was 16 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute genius player.
Yeah.
Of course, so was Buddy Rich.
Yeah.
So, you know, two jazz drummers. So there was, but my first influence was jazz.
Great.
I played, I'm not very good at it, certainly not these days, but in those days, you know, first of all, it was trad jazz because that was easier.
Yeah.
And I did play. I did play with some brass musicians as well,
Mm-hmm.
just when I was learning my stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So it was. I've had a broad education in music, if you like. I like everything, really, except opera.
Mm-hmm.
Pearl, um, I think it was mid 80s,
Mm-hmm.
because it was when the firm started with Jimmy Page, Paul Rogers, Tony Franklin,
Mm-hmm.
um, that I went to Pearl. Yeah, it was then, actually. That was the first time, 84, something like that.
And before that year, what kind of brand you were playing?
Um, right before that, I had a drum company called Staccato Drums,
Mm-hmm.
very weird shaped drums, like a saxophone
Ah, yeah.
bell.
I remember. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and they were great. They were the loudest drums ever made, I think.
Uh-huh.
And but it didn't last, unfortunately. I had some business partners, and we were doing okay, and then it just cost too much to manufacture because they were handmade in fiberglass.
Mm-hmm.
So that unfortunately went by the wayside.
Okay. And
And before that, I played fibes, actually. I don't know if you remember fibes
yes,
drums.
5 drums. Yes.
Um, and I've still got my early kits.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've got a Ludwig kit,
Wow.
which I used with Tom Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, and that I bought that in 1964, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and as I say, I've still got it. In fact, the floor tom has got the same head on it for all this time.
Awesome. So, and you play with Pearl drums from the 80s till which year? When did you change
Um,
to DWs?
I'm not quite sure. I knew that DW was absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they offered me immediately that they would sponsor me. And that was with the kit that I used on the Grammy show in the States.
Yeah.
Um, and it's such a beautiful kit. It's got gold rims and oh, it
Awesome.
is beautiful.
I have a question. When did you start using your two bass drums on the top? Um,
Ah, that came with Thunderstruck.
that was the first time
Recording
that
Thunderstruck
you
with
used.
ACDC, and I thought, the drums are such a major part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I thought, how am I gonna make such an impact with just two arms? So I said to Dick, the drum tech, I said, Dick, I want a bass drum shoulder height on this side, and I want a bass drum shoulder height on that. He said, what? You got to be kidding. And I said, no, that's what we need. And next day, he'd done it.
Awesome.
So it's all down to Dick Jones.
You were using 22s, right? 22 inch.
Yes,
Okay. Awesome.
yes.
You put
They
any
should have been.
muffling, or there was nothing inside of the bass drum?
No, there was nothing. There was nothing inside. Yes,
So
and of course with the sound man out front with ACDC, they sounded enormous. Of
yeah,
course,
of course.
you know. I still use them.
Yes,
I still use them because I play on the Rock or Bust
exactly.
DW kit these days when I go out with my band, with Timeline.
I have another question. How did you met David Gilmour, and how was your experience playing for him?
The experience of playing for him was fantastic. He's a great guy, one of the nicest people you'd want to meet. He really is a fantastic person.
Awesome.
Not just, and what a great player. I mean, that's just as a person.
Yeah.
As a player, we all know how amazing he is.
Yep.
I was working with Mick Ralphs from Bad Company.
Yep.
And I'd met Dave, I think it was once or twice, because he would come along to see the Mick Ralphs band. Like even just in a pub in London, for instance. So I had met him briefly once or twice. And then I got a call a little while after that. And he said, "Hello, it's Dave Gilmour here." I went, "Oh," because it was regular phone, you know?
Yeah.
And I said, "Now, come on, George, you're messing me about. I know it's you."
Yeah.
He said, no. He said, "No, it really is Dave Gilmour here." Cut a long story short, he offered me the tour, and I said, "You know, oh, Dave, you know, I'm working with Mick Ralphs and his band." He said, "Yeah, I know. Mick's doing it too." So honesty being the best policy, that worked out.
Yeah, sure.
So that's how I got in with Dave. I went with my wife to the pub. This was lunchtime to celebrate. And I come back from the pub, phone rings, pick up the phone, and it's, "Hello, it's Jimmy Page here."
Wow.
And I went, "George, now I know you're really messing me about here."
Yeah.
No, it really is Jimmy Page. This was 2 hours later.
Wow.
Yeah. And I couldn't believe it. Cut a long story short again, he offered me the gig. Me and Paul are starting a band. We'd like you to play drums.
Wow.
And I said, "Jim, you won't believe this, but just 2 hours ago, I committed to a Dave Gilmour tour. It starts in a few weeks."
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, never mind, I'll wait."
Wow. Amazing.
So I just, again, I was incredulous.
Wow.
It was unbelievable.
What an honor to play with.
Oh,
David Gilmour, Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin are one of my favorite all-time bands.
oh yeah. I noticed your album cover.
Yeah, Dark Side of the Moon. And I have Dark Side of the Moon and Wish You Were Here right there.
Right.
I'm a big fan of Pink Floyd. I mean, all
Oh
of
yeah, me too.
yeah. And Zeppelin, of
And
course.
people say, "Oh, you know," in pubs and stuff, they say, "Oh, you know, Pink Floyd got lucky." I said, "No, they didn't get lucky. They got Gilmour."
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. Can you tell us how you get the gig for ACDC?
Before ACDC, I was working with Gary Moore.
Oh, another great guitar player.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he played for Thin Lizzy, right? He's
Yes, that's right.
one of the greatest
That's right.
guitar players ever,
Oh, it's
ever.
great, great
Wow,
player.
amazing.
And
Hmm.
ACDC had the same management as uh,
Gary
as
Moore.
Gary Moore.
Hmm.
So I got the chance to audition through that.
Hmm.
So I think Malcolm came along to a Gary Moore show at the NEC in Britain,
Hmm.
National Exhibition Centre in Britain. And I met him briefly and didn't think any more of it. And then when the audition came up, I was told after the audition by Dick, the drum tech, that I was number 100 in the audition.
Wow, a lot of drummers.
Yeah, and they were all top players from top bands.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's like, don't tell the guys, but I'd really like to try out with you. You know,
Wow.
don't tell my band, don't tell my band. And that is the truth.
Wow.
And they called my house before I got home to tell me I got the gig.
Hmm.
And I was only an hour from the rehearsal place
Hmm.
in Brighton, in England. So they called before I got home. I was worried. I was very, very worried. There's a longer story, but I thought, that's not gonna,
Yeah.
you know, it's not gonna fly. Why did you play that? Why did you do that? Why did you say that? But luckily, I got it. So
Awesome.
it was well. It's literally same with Gilmour and Page. Chance of a lifetime.
How was the process of making the album, The Razor's Edge?
We tried a few studios, one in Dublin in Ireland, but it didn't work out.
Hmm.
So then we ended up in Little Mountain
Yeah.
in Vancouver,
Hmm.
which was great. We used to play um, the, everybody in the room at the same time, even Brian singing in a booth.
Wow.
And we must have done, say, Thunderstruck, we must have done it hundreds of times,
Wow.
certainly dozens of times.
Hmm.
We'd probably do 2 takes and then have a cup of tea because I'd never drink under those circumstances.
Yeah, of course.
But and Angus played that riff over. They tried looping it once. The engineer said, "Why don't I loop it? It's the same riff, so I'll just loop it."
Hmm.
So Angus went, "Yeah, okay." Uh, so he gave him half hour. He came back and said, "Try that." No, there's glitches. It jumps at that point. All right, give me another 20 minutes. I'll fix it. I'll fix it. And did it again. And Angus went, screw it. I'll just play it.
Yeah.
And that's
Wow.
what he did for days.
Wow. Amazing.
There was an engineer once, not Fraser, that and they said, where's the original guitars? We want to hear the originals.
Hmm.
And the guy went, I deleted them.
No.
He also got deleted
Yeah. Yeah.
immediately.
Immediately.
You never get rid of the original, and certainly not Angus and Malcolm's originals, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, what a mistake. How was the experience of touring back in the day with ACDC? Especially, how was your experience doing the live at Donington, this show? I mean, this show for me is one of the greatest shows ever in the history of ACDC for me. Is amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. It was, I think, is fantastic. I really, even if I say so myself, it really translated what the band was all about.
Hmm.
Um, it's there's very little, again, very little overdubbing,
Hmm.
if any. I don't know the secrets of that, to be very honest. You'd have to ask Mike Fraser or one of the guys. Um, but it was pretty much as it was. I know I didn't overdub anything, and
Hmm.
Brian usually doesn't. So, and it's a live, it actually is the live band as
Yeah.
it is, as it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel quite proud of that.
Hmm.
Um, one of the best things I've done, I think. Um, and it really did us proud, I think, as a band.
Yeah.
And you know, you're not the only one to say. It's certainly one of the best live records ever made.
Yes, of course.
You
It's
know,
amazing. Amazing. It's one of my
the
favorite live albums of AC/DC. And you know
thanks.
what I found on the songs, most of the songs. Normally, the other drummer, Phil Roth, he plays like a little a little bit slower, but you play a little bit faster. All the songs is like, uh,
Yeah, well, that actually is not my choice.
mhm,
That is Angus and Mal.
yeah,
Um, because what I used to do was instead of having a click in headphones, you can see I'm not wearing earphones of any kind.
mhm,
It was just monitors in those days. Um, is that uh, oh, hang on. I'll backtrack in my brain.
yeah,
Um, I used to have a metronome count
mhm.
as a light down by my hi-hat,
Wow,
by my left foot. And Dick Jones used to play, he'd play the click, just maybe 2 bars of it.
mhm,
And once I started my count to bring the band in, he would switch it off.
okay,
I wanted him to do that. I've never, I hate using a click, but um, it was up to me then to keep the tempo as much as possible the same.
mhm,
So that's another reason for liking that. I didn't use a click of any kind, just to get the tempo right. And the tempo was set by Angus and Mal at rehearsals.
okay,
Um, so when people, one of the major things that people comment on is that, oh, Chris Slade plays too fast. You
mhm,
didn't say that, but too fast. And I say, look, it's nothing to do with me. Angus and Mal set that tempo,
yeah,
and it's a true tempo because you tell me if it's what BPM it is,
yeah,
and it doesn't speed or slow too
mhm.
much at all. So I'm very proud of that.
Yeah. I think the songs in that particular show sounds even better than the original recording. I mean, for example, the song. Let It Be Rock is more faster than the original, and I love it. I mean, it's for me, it's amazing. That timing is amazing.
Oh yeah, again, that was set by Angus and Mal.
Yeah.
And yes, it goes like hell.
Yeah, and it's like amazing. Your right hand, especially in that song, "Let It Be Rock," it's like you are a clock, and you never get tired. It's like amazing. You know, you're like a machine. You
Oh, I was tired. I was tired. All right, believe me.
know?
At the end of the show, we were all like limp rags, you know,
Yeah, you give it all.
just absolutely drained.
Wow. Wow.
And that particular thing in at Donington,
Mm-hmm.
when we were playing in the semi-darkness, I think Angus had a problem with his guitar because he's supposed to head out and go up on a riser, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
supposed to be out in the audience. You see what I mean?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. He had a problem
Yeah.
with his
And I
wireless
think he
the
had a
wireless
guitar
thing.
problem. He either had a guitar problem or a transport problem.
Yeah, the wireless connection for the guitar.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
See, you know more than me. And we were, as Cliff one side of me and there's Malcolm the other side of me, and we're looking at each other going, how long is this going to go on? Should it start? You know, we're looking at just, you can only look, you know, you can't talk or shout or anything. And it's like, and you know, they must have cut about 10 minutes
Wow.
out of that.
And how was the story of your comeback to ACDC on the album Rock or Bust, and especially playing with Axl Rose? You know, how was your experience?
Oh, that was great. Well, it was great before, to be honest,
Yeah.
before Axl, but Brian was very down on himself, you know, because his hearing was affected, and he felt really down. But, you know, I was using in-ears all the way through that tour, and instead of monitors, and I could hear Brian, I could hear everybody really well. And, you know, in my opinion, he was too down on himself. And I kept saying to him, Brian, I can hear you perfectly and you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
But, you know, he felt bad. And then when Axl came in, I didn't know Axl could sing like that. Honestly, I just knew his voice from Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
And when he started to sing, it was like, wow, this guy can sing.
Yeah.
And he did a great job.
Yeah.
I think, and Angus the other day on the web somewhere, probably in an interview, thanked Axl for stepping in and saving the day, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. He did a great job.
And he did an amazing job, in my opinion. A lot of people don't like it because it's not Brian, but you know, Brian wasn't available. So it was a stroke of genius, actually, for Axl to be involved. You know, I never warm up. People might say, yeah, we can tell that. Hardly ever practice. I did practice my right hi-hat hand on Let There Be Rock every single day, out of fear, actually. But apart from that, I don't do anything. I don't warm up. And I love being on the road. That's the secret. If you don't like traveling, don't go on the road.
Okay.
Some people hate it. I love it. I'm still on the road now with Timeline.
Yeah.
And we drive in a van, and we drive all through Europe in a van. And I drive as well. You know,
Cool.
it's like the old days.
Mm-hmm.
Angus never warms up, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen any of the guys practice or warm up or fiddle around, or they just on stage, get on with it.
Okay.
Lars Ulrich was at the first Rock or Bust show, which was in California,
Mm-hmm.
huge festival. And he came up and he goes, when are you going to get ready for the show? I dress like this, and this is, he said, no, get ready. I said, I don't do anything. He said, I've watched you. You've been standing there in exactly the same spot with a cup of tea in your hand, and you haven't moved for 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I said, no, of course, I was talking to my missus and talking to people,
Mm-hmm.
but I was, you know, it's one of the things I do. I just stand.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, before we go on stage for hours, we have psychologists, we have massages, we have a talk, we play for about 30 minutes before we go on stage. What do you guys do? I said, absolutely nothing.
Yeah. And yeah.
He couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it.
So it was a tremendous honor for me doing this interview, and I just can't believe that I'm talking to you because you're one of my idols, obviously on the drums, and
Oh, thanks.
you were a great inspiration since since I was 14 years old. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you very much.
No, you're
I'm
welcome.
honored.
All right, Chris. It was a true honor, and we keep in touch. We keep in touch.
Thanks, Pablo.
All right.
All
Take
the
care.
best.
Bye bye.
Bye for now.